Hi, this is Ted. Today I want to talk to you about follow-up, one case of a person who was supposedly healed at a Benny Hinn concert. The reason I'm choosing one case is because this so typifies so many of the people who are healed at his crusades. And not only his, but many others, including Todd Bentley. I will bring up his name as well. This particular article deals with a girl named Sarah. She's from Pakistan. She's healed on stage at a Benny Hinn crusade. She has Down syndrome. She has 6 months to live. At least that's what she says on stage. And she's dependent upon a wheelchair and an oxygen tank. But on stage, she stands by her wheelchair.
On the platform, be all glory, power, and praise. On both sides, gentlemen. On both sides, gentlemen. Kingdom authority flows from his throne. His anthem reigns. So exalt, lift up on high.
Wheelchairs are the #1 visual that faith healers like, especially Benny Hinn. He loves wheelchairs because nobody sees anything healed. What they see is a wheelchair and a person, and they put 2 and 2 together and come up with healing. The vast majority of time, those people can walk already. The ones who cannot walk are not getting on stage. The ones who cannot walk before the crusade are not getting on stage. The ones who can walk or can walk with pain relieved will be on stage. All right, so she's on stage, standing next to her wheelchair. Hinn is walking her around on stage. She falls down in the spirit when he lays hands on her, and he proclaims that God has healed her of her heart condition. Evidently, she has a heart condition as well. Turns out she has holes in her heart. This particular writer called up the family and talked to them several weeks after. He says a few weeks after. I prefer 6 months to 12 months. The reason I prefer that is because looking at the follow-up of Todd Bentley, I found that people 1 week after were still on that high of having been in the crusade and having been in that revival. They're still pumped and excited and feeling the energy that came from that. But give them a few weeks' time, and studies down the road show a lesser degree of healing that went on. In other words, people in the first week say, I feel tremendously better. But weeks and months down the road, they're back at the doctor, and the doctor says nothing has happened. This is very common with all of these healers, not just Benny Hinn. All people who have mass healings have this kind of behavior from their followers. There is a week or so where they are excited and still feeling like I am healed, even though the symptoms are already returning. So the follow-up reveals several things. First of all, she was now doing without her wheelchair. I have a close relative, and she is in her 80s now, but when she was in her 70s, she was doing terribly. And her kinfolk were believing that she is ready to go. She got herself into a different context, living with other people. And this new context brought her back to life. She went from being a very depressed person, ready to die, to a very confident person, somebody who does not need as much help, who does very well on her own. And I believe she could live another 10, 15 years. She could well live to be 100 years old. What happened is she got a new context. Her thought patterns changed from negativity, and she was loaded down with it, to a very positive attitude, a very healthy attitude. And that alone did wonders for her. What's going on from these stages is people are beginning to tap into something in their own thinking that helps them to be better off. Because if you really look deeply into the follow-ups, you don't find 100% no cure. You don't find 100% cure. What you find is, even if there is no cure medically speaking, these people are feeling better. And not all the time, most of the times no, but there's a good amount of people who say they feel better. Now, I'm not sure if they might be lying through their teeth, because they are steeped in this faith healing teaching which says you have to say you're healed even when you're not. But I buy that many people do feel better, because this is how our thinking works. And if I start thinking less negatively and I start thinking more positively about what I'm facing, definitely it's going to make a difference in my life. Now, her story turns out to be a lot more complicated, because as he was talking to her and her family on the phone, she found out that that 6-month diagnosis was given over 3 years ago. You watch people on stage and they will exaggerate their problems and they'll exaggerate their healing. This is not uncommon. It is a common thing that happens. Even doctors will tell you that their patients come in, they're exaggerating their feelings all too often. They're exaggerating their illnesses, and they will do it on stage. But it provides drama that Benny loves. Also not stated on stage was that her family had been to several different Benny Hinn crusades, and that in all of the other ones that they were at, she was not allowed on stage. Also unstated is that Sarah's mother had a dream that she would be healed by Benny Hinn in one of his crusades. Whether it's prophetic or whether it's just simply from her own subconscious, I cannot say. I will not say. All right. Sarah's mother believed that she had been given a dream saying that her daughter would be healed by Benny Hinn. In another case, in a Catherine Kuhlman study where somebody is healed by Catherine Kuhlman, the girl, before she went to Catherine Kuhlman and after, had dreams from the Virgin Mary. Sarah had not yet found out about her heart during this phone call. In other words, several weeks later, she still did not know if there are holes in her heart. She hadn't been to the doctor yet. And this is why I prefer stories that are 6 months down the road. Then I can get an accurate account. Well, hopefully this gives you kind of an insight of what we're looking at when we look at people being healed and the follow-up of what happens. I believe a biblical healing is permanent. There will be no questions about it. There's not going to be losing a healing. If you lose a healing, you have had the placebo effect. There is no question about it. It has nothing to do about faith, a lack of faith, or any of the such. What I would like to give you in conclusion is, in order to find out and discover the reality, we need time. 6 months, 12 months. A lot of people on stage saying that they are cured will die within weeks and months. What is most telling is not what's going on stage, but what will happen 6 months to 12 months later. All right, this is Ted. Have a fantastic day.